Good morning, everyone. I'm Glyden Arquelada from Bachelor of Early Childhood Education. Okay, let's talk about typical and atypical development. So, typical development is defined as the normal progression by which children change as they grow older by acquiring and refining knowledge, behaviors, and skills. Children tend to acquire these skills in an orderly fashion and within certain age brackets. This pattern of skills acquisition is often referred to as normal or typical development and is used to monitor a child's development progress. Smiling, crawling, manipulating objects, walking, self-care, and talking are examples of developmental milestones that provide valuable insight into a child's development. Most children development skills in similar patterns and at similar patterns at similar times. Typical development will give generic progress of the child compared to peers of the same age. Typical language development follows simple directions. Come, give me, sit down, and etc. Understand and responds to own name, uses gestures or vocabulations to refuse wants and give attentions. How will knowing the typical development of child help you? Knowing about development will support you by providing a point of reference what a child should and not be doing at each developmental phase. You'll be more observant and mindful to see and appreciate your child as an individual and plan around their strengths, needs, and interests. Atypical development means development that is unusual in its patterns, is not within normal development milestones, and adversely affects the child's overall development. Atypical development occurs when the child appears to lag behind or is way ahead of same age peers in any of the different skills. What is an example of typical development? Atypical development can manifest in different ways, especially in children. This can be physical delays or cognitive dysfunctions, and this can be social or emotional manifestations. Atypical development in children can cause learning challenges and difficulty with social interactions. Atypical development is when development doesn't follow the normal course. It could include things like learning and social disabilities and disorders. What causes typical development? Causes of development delay genetic or hereditary conditions like Down syndrome, metabolic disorders like penketonuria, trauma to the brain such as shaken baby syndrome, severe psychosocial trauma such as post-traumatic stress disorders. What is an example of a child with atypical development? Absence of reciprocity, lack of sharing enjoyment and interest, problems with joint attention and apparent disinterest in parents or other children are also concerning atypical characteristic of social development. Other examples include intense separation anxiety, unusual fearfulness of people, and extreme shyness.